You've done everything right. Good lighting, beautiful composition, the kind of skin texture that makes real cinematographers want to retire early out of spite. But the scene still feels wrong. You don't know what it is. You can't name it, but something in your brain just sent up a flare. Now these two people, they're supposed to be having a conversation, but they're looking in the same direction. So they look less like two people talking and more like two people at a bus stop who've mutually agreed to never acknowledge each other's existence. Now, that's not a vibe. That's the 180-degree rule, dead in a ditch. Look, I've been storyboarding for over 30 years. 30 years. I have drawn more two people in a room conversations than any sane human being should ever be subjected to. And I can tell you from experience, when you're watching a scene, your brain, it's not just sitting there passively shoveling popcorn into its face. It's working. Quietly, in the background, like a tiny neurological accountant, tracking who's on the left, who's on the right, who's looking at who, where everybody lives in the room. And the second those spatial relationships break, something feels wrong. Even if you can't put your finger on why it feels wrong, your brain knows. Your brain has already located the complaint form and is currently searching for a pen. That is what the 180-degree rule is protecting. Not some dusty film school technicality that only matters if you're writing a thesis on Citizen Kane. Clarity. It is protecting clarity. The audience's ability to understand, without effort, where everybody stands in relation to everybody else. And AI has absolutely no interest in any of that. It just spits out gorgeous shots, pretty lighting, flawless skin texture, and a completely blank stare when you ask it where character B is supposed to be standing. Your audience, they'll feel it. They may not be able to name it, but they'll feel it. Like a shoe that's a half size too small. Nothing's technically wrong, and yet... All right, here's the actual rule, and I promise this is simpler than it sounds. Draw an imaginary line between two characters. That's your axis. That's your line. Now, as long as your camera stays on one side of that line, screen direction stays consistent. One character looks screen left, the other character looks screen right. Nobody mysteriously teleports. Nobody feels like they swapped seats when you weren't looking. The audience's brain relaxes, stops doing math, and starts paying attention to the actual story. That's it. That's the whole game. An imaginary line that doesn't appear on screen and yet holds your entire scene together like structural rebar. The moment you understand this rule is the moment you stop being somebody who just generates AI shots and starts being somebody who directs them. Big difference. But we'll come back to that in a second. All right, let's take a look at this scene from Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. This is a textbook execution. The line runs straight through the table between Pumpkin and Honey Bunny. Shot to shot, the eye lines stay locked. Nobody flips, nobody jumps across the frame. You're not sitting there studying the technique, you're just in it, completely inside the moment, which is exactly where Tarantino wants you to be. And that right there, that's the funny thing about the 180-degree rule. When it works, it's invisible. You don't notice it because it's doing its job, quietly, in the background, like a good referee. Or a decent kidney. You never think about your kidneys when they're working right. You only think about them when something goes horribly wrong. Exactly the same thing. So, let me show you what horribly wrong looks like. This is what happens when you cross the line without a reason. The characters, they suddenly feel like they just swapped places. Your brain goes, wait, did they move? Did I miss something? Did I just black out for a second? The scene hiccups. The story pauses, and now the audience is spending mental energy trying to reassemble the room like a furniture puzzle instead of feeling what you actually want them to feel. That's the damage, not some vague, abstract confusion. The audience gets bumped out of the moment, and once you've bumped them out, once you've broken the spell, good luck trying to get them back. You don't get a lot of second chances with attention, but if you cross that line with a reason, if the story is asking for it, you can make the audience feel something very specific, something they won't even be able to articulate. They're just going to feel it in their chest. Incidentally, if you're finding this useful, go ahead and hit that like button on your side of the 180. There's no spatial confusion here. Hit it, and we can all just move on with a clear conscience. Now, here's where it gets genuinely interesting, because crossing the line is not automatically a mistake. Sometimes it is exactly the right call. If the emotional ground shifts, if power changes hands, if somebody's certainty cracks, if the scene just fractures psychologically, then flipping to the other side of that line can make the audience feel that rupture instead of just watching it from a happy, safe distance. The break, it isn't sloppy. The break is the point. Now stay with me, because Tarantino pulls off something slick at the end of this movie. We're back at the Hawthorne Grill. Same diner, same booths, same bad coffee. But this is the tail end of the narrative timeline, and everything about the visual stakes has changed. Here's the setup. Jules has just taken the gun away from the Tim Roth character, who we only know as Pumpkin. Jules forces Pumpkin to sit across from him at the booth. Jules is calm, ice cold, professional. He's got the gun pointed right at Pumpkin's face, and he's not even sweating. Honey Bunny, on the other hand, is losing her shit. One bad twitch away from turning the whole place into a shooting gallery. Vincent is MIA. He's in the bathroom living his best life, completely unaware that the diner is 30 seconds away from a bloodbath. This is a Mexican standoff with a side of pancakes. And here's what's interesting. Tarantino locks this entire scene into strict 180-degree grammar. Textbook. He cuts between tight singles of Pumpkin, Jules, and Honey Bunny and never crosses the line once. Every eye line is exactly where it should be. Everybody stays on their side of the room. Why? Because Jules is in control. The visual grammar is telling you that. Even in the middle of all this chaos, the camera is behaving. The editing is behaving, which tells your subconscious that somebody in this room has a handle on things, and that somebody is Jules. He starts talking Honey Bunny down. He gets her to lower her voice, gets her to breathe. The threat level drops a hair. You can feel the room exhale just a little bit. And then the camera jumps the line. Out of nowhere, no warning, Tarantino yanks us to the other side of the 180, and suddenly everything we just spent 5 minutes learning about this room is upside down. And then it gets worse. Vincent finally comes out of the bathroom, and the camera crosses the line once again. From this moment on, Tarantino throws the rulebook in the trash. The camera starts ping-ponging left, right, any side, every side. The editing plan for the rest of this scene is simple: maximum chaos. Now here's the thing, this is not a continuity error. This is not Tarantino having an off day. This is a surgeon with a scalpel. The second Vincent walks out of that bathroom, all the careful control Jules has established has a second variable in it. Somebody new is in the room with a gun. The power is no longer locked down. The equation just changed. And Tarantino, he wants you to feel that. Not understand it intellectually, not analyze it your second viewing, feel it right now in that booth. I can remember sitting in the theater when this first came out and genuinely believing that any one of those characters could be killed at any second. Jules, Vincent, Pumpkin, Honey Bunny, even the waitress, it didn't matter. The spatial rules had collapsed, and when the spatial rules collapse, your brain stops being able to predict what happens next. That's the trick. Tarantino used a technical rule break to create narrative instability. He made you disoriented on purpose so you'd feel exactly off balance as those characters do in that restaurant. The rule wasn't broken because he forgot it. The rule was broken because he was using it. Big difference. Alright, this is probably one of my favorite examples of a director intentionally crossing the line. Now, quick context for anybody who just woke up after a 40-year coma. The Shining is about a man named Jack who takes a job as a caretaker in a remote hotel. The ghosts inside that hotel slowly take him apart from the inside out. In the bathroom scene, Jack has a conversation with the ghost of a former caretaker, and Kubrick, he just tap dances all over that line, repeatedly. It works because Jack's mind is unraveling. The scene feels spatially wrong because the man is wrong. You're not supposed to feel stable in that bathroom. You're supposed to feel like you're trapped inside of a conversation that is rotting from the inside out. The spatial wrongness is the horror. Kubrick isn't breaking the rule by accident. He's using it, again, like a scalpel. And finally, we have this scene from Saving Private Ryan. After spending the entire movie trying to track him down, Tom Hanks' character finally pulls Private Ryan aside to let him know the horrible news.
Your brothers were killed in combat.
Which ones?
All of them.
When Ryan learns that all three of his brothers are dead, Spielberg cuts the other side of the line. Why? Because Ryan's internal compass is gone. The emotional ground just collapsed underneath him. So Spielberg, he takes your footing away too. The geography shifts because his reality just shifted. Not random, not sloppy, motivated. Now, every single one of these choices was made by a director who understood the rule well enough to know exactly when to detonate it. That's the part the AI will never do for you. Not today, not next year, maybe not ever. And this is exactly why AI filmmakers need to understand this stuff, because image generators and video models, they're not directors. They don't understand screen direction. They don't understand eye lines. They don't understand spatial relationships or emotional geography. They will hand you a gorgeous looking mess with a completely straight face and absolutely zero remorse about it. And if you don't know what you're looking for, you may not even realize why the scene feels off. You'll just know it has that weird synthetic aftertaste, like the cinematic equivalent of eating a sandwich that's still wrapped in cellophane. Here's the point. This is your job. Not just generating shots, directing them, knowing when the audience needs stability, knowing when the audience needs disruption, knowing when to protect clarity and when to crack it open on purpose. The AI, it handles the pixels. You handle the story. So, here's where we land. The 180-degree rule is not sacred scripture. It's not something you chisel into a tablet and sleep next to at night. It's a tool. Most of the time, it protects clarity, keeps the audience oriented, and quietly does its job so you can do yours. But sometimes, if the emotional moment is asking for it, breaking that line is exactly how you deliver panic, disorientation, a power shift, a psychological collapse, something the audience will feel in their chest before their brain even forms a question. The trick is knowing the difference between crossing the line on purpose and just tripping all over it. One of those is directing, the other is just noise. All right, that's just about going to be it for today's episode. If you found this video insightful or entertaining and would like to see more of them in the future, go ahead and hit that subscribe button below. Until next time, this is Vinny DeLay with Ink and Grow Rich.